ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। We have arrived at that point in the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā, where Lord Sri Krishna explains to Arjuna and through Arjuna to all of us the essential components of meditation. As we saw in the first 10 verses, Sri Krishna in a way summarized his teachings in the previous 5 chapters, especially showing that only those who have lived a life of karma yoga, where they have put all selfish motives to the back seat, they have done things, call it out of love of God or love of people, not for one's own self-aggrandizement. Only those would truly succeed in renunciation and in truly rewarding meditation. So it is most appropriate that the first 10 verses do not plunge into the main topic of dhyana or meditation. So in this class, we shall take up that particular portion. Last time we had seen the 10th verse, Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi stita ekaki yatachittatma nirashihi aparigraha. Yogi here means dhyayi, someone who meditates, who has the eligibility to meditate, who loves to meditate. As we have said a number of times before, our Shastras use a word adhikara, and adhikara is twofold. You are fit to do, and when you are fit to do, you ought to do. Those who are fit to renounce, give themselves fully to God, should do it without any delay. And those who are not yet pure enough in their antakarana, for heaven's sake, should not try to renounce, for they will bring bad name to renunciation also. So, adhikara is a two-sided affair. Being permitted by the Shastras to take up higher spiritual practices and it becoming a duty for them to take up that higher practice go together. When we don't have the adhikara, we neither may do nor can do. If we try to do some higher practice, we will miserably fail. Somebody once said in a nice way, somebody whose fitness or whose vasanas are more for material transactions, especially interested in money and so on, somehow becomes a leader. And that Pravachanka joked, those who actually are business minded become leaders. Then, though they have become leaders, in the actuality, in ground reality, the so-called leader would be more a dealer, for he is good in doing deals, striking deals. Finally, every one of us should honestly examine our eligibility. Yogi yunjita satatam. Yunjita in Sanskrit grammar is what is called potential mood. And it can be translated in two ways. One is person who is pure-minded, who has the necessary amount of vairagya, should meditate. Yunjita, dhyanam purvita. Another is he would meditate. When someone has risen to that level of consciousness, why would one not meditate? One will be drawn to meditation. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam. Rahasi stitaha. These practices not being looked at favorably by large numbers of people. In many a case, within a family, if somebody becomes very spiritual, the other family members themselves fret and fume. They are not comfortable with this one person meditating every morning, evening. And therefore, whether you stay at home or you go to some solitary place, because others are not able to appreciate your spiritual practices, rahasi sthita, do it in rather a secret way. Do it at least at a time or in a place where others don't even take much notice. Sri Ramakrishna used to use a rather funny expression. You will see this in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He would say, advanced spiritual seekers meditate on God inside a mosquito net. The mention of a mosquito net is funny. But what is meant, I guess, is they, before going to sleep at night and early morning when they get up, maybe they freshen up, quickly get back inside the mosquito net. Others are all sleeping. They meditate for some time. I would imagine the mention of the mosquito net is more about the early morning and late night when others are not observing or taking notice. Even one's spouse, husband or wife, is sleeping or resting at another place and so on. So the word rahasistitaha makes a place for certain aloofness, just for the reason that large numbers in the society generally don't like all these advanced practices. Now, most of you may be knowing that when Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, used to meditate in Dakshineshwar, and slowly people started respecting him for his advanced spirituality. Another priest in the same premises got very jealous of Sri Ramakrishna and was so angry and irritated and annoyed. And you may be knowing this. On one occasion, Ramakrishna is meditating, the other priest comes and kicks him with his foot on the back of Sri Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna falls, gets a bit injured, both insult and injury. But Sri Ramakrishna simply keeps quiet. Maybe he says to Mother Kali, that is your wish. Maybe he thinks of the consequences of his reporting to the managing trustee, Rani Rasmani or someone like that, who had great regard for Sri Ramakrishna. If Ramakrishna had complained to Rani Rasmani, I may not be pronouncing the name correctly, there was a managing trustee of the trust running the Dakshineshwar temple, and that lady has had great devotion to Sri Ramakrishna. If Sri Ramakrishna had complained to her, she would have perhaps asked this other priest to leave, go back home. He would have lost his job. Maybe out of compassion, Sri Ramakrishna bore with that insult and that injury. And I guess it never happened again. The priest also, the other priest must have later on felt very bad. What did I do? After all, he has not done anything to me. If he is doing spiritual practices and more people are admiring him, I have no business to hurt him in any manner. Maybe the other priest thought like that and did not do it again. The next word is ekaki. For we once in a while do have group meditations, but ultimately this may be said about spiritual journey itself. Spiritual journey finally is by oneself, all alone. Because even if we are husband and wife, even if we are father and son or mother and daughter, or we are very close in so many other ways, we may be close, but we never know the sanskaras, the pura sanskara, and the level of evolution, the mindset, the orientation, etc. are so different. Sometimes children of the same mother are so different in their dispositions. Therefore, really speaking, ekaki, everybody keeps moving further, moving forward in his or her journey. Sri Krishna doesn't mince words and explicitly says a meditator should sit alone and should connect his mind to God. Yata chittatma. Chitta is mind, atma here means body. With both body and mind held under control, the meditator meditates more and more. Nirashihi, letting go of worldly desires. All this can happen only if somebody has a high degree of viveka and vairagya. Most of us may decide, all right, I will leave all my worldly desires. By deciding, will they go? We can't even leave so easily coffee or tea. Or people who smoke cannot give up smoking. What to talk about numerous fancies about the world. So this happens when it happens. Our effort, Purushartha, has a place, but so many saints and sages have said that it happens when he wishes. It is God's grace. It is Ishvara's anugraha. Nirashihi, without the mind running away towards some worldly pleasures, aparigraha. A sadhaka should not keep too many things with him. For once he keeps too many things, all of which may be coming handy, they increase the comfort, convenience on a day-to-day basis. But there will be maintenance, there will be concern about something falling down and breaking, etc., etc. Therefore, Shankaracharya especially keeps a formal sannyasi in his mind while interpreting this. The sannyasi should not have possessions. The sannyasi goes to various places. If there are some conveniences, he may use them, move on. He doesn't wish to possess his own things of comfort. So the last line we saw, I guess, last class in the Shānkara Bhāshya is sannyasitve api. Even if somebody has become sannyasi, tyakta sarva parigraha yunjita. For sannyasis also can accumulate, especially in Kali Yuga, in these days, lot of devotees, grahasthas, once they see a sannyasi being quite knowledgeable, quite pious, they bring gifts. Keep this with you, this will help you, keep this with you, this will make your life comfortable, and so on. Swami Chinmayananji used to say, comforts guests come as guests. Comforts come as guests. And then stay longer, and suddenly one morning you find the comforts have become hosts, and you are the guest, and you are enslaved by comforts. This quotation goes like that. Comforts come as guests, linger on to enslave you. Before you realize what is happening, you become so dependent on varieties of physical and other comforts. By other, I mean even relationship. Suppose a sadhu has a very good relationship with a rich man, a rich family, then it gives psychological comfort. And if the sadhu in his mind becomes very dependent on that rich family, then his spirituality suffers. The sadhu is permitted to meet the rich, to meet the poor, etc. Let him stay for 2 days in a palace, and then suppose next he has to go to some small house. He should not say, "Oh, why not I continue in the palace only?" Then what happened to his vairagya? What happened to his spirituality? Therefore, Adi Shankara is right in his commentary. Sannyasitve api. Formally, he might have taken the ochre robes, orange robes, and other signs of sannyasa. But as he minimized his possessions, Tekta Sarva Parigraha. With this, we move on to the next shloka. Shankaracharya, in his Bhāshya, that is commentary, connects. Atha idanim yogam yunjataha asana ahara viharadinam yoga sadhanatvena niyamaha vaktavyaha. Sri Krishna now realizes that I must tell Arjuna the rules about asana, where one must sit, how one must sit, what arrangements one must make to sit for meditation to be effective. Ahara, what are the rules about food? Vihara, varieties of activities. So asana, ahara, vihara, adinam, yoga sadhanatvena niyamo vaktavyaha. And then, as the man or the woman advances in meditation, reaches higher and higher stages of spirituality, Shankara's commentary uses a word, prapta yogasya. First one is desirous of taking yoga or grasping yoga. Now, prapta yoga means one has risen to greater levels of yoga. And such a, you may call him Siddha. Siddhasya lakshanam. How would that advanced seeker look? Tat phaladi. What benefits does that advanced yogi enjoy? All this is to be mentioned. Vaktavyaha has to be connected with that sentence. Tatra asanameva tavat rathmam uchyate. Tavat means that being the case, Sri Krishna takes up the matter of seat. How should the seat be? And therefore it starts with the gross, slowly goes to subtle and subtler aspects of meditation. Starts with stula, then goes to sukshma. Let's read the 11th verse now. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya sthiramasanamatmanah natyuchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram. Asanam. How should the seat be? First of all, especially in olden days, meditators would go to a garden or to some wooded, that is from forest-like area, away from the village, away from the town, and spend hours there meditating. As you go to such places, ensure that that spot where you sit should be clean. Shuchau deshe. Deshaha shuchihi syat. And one makes a seat there, and one's seat should be steady. There should not be some vibration, there should not be something shaking, and so on. Sometimes you sit upon some furniture, and that might be shaking. Its four legs may not be uniform. Then you will get distracted. Na ati uchritam. The seat should not be too high. Na ati nicham. Look at compassionate Lord goes to such minor details. Bhagavan Sri Krishna has done Such great service to all humanity. No wonder there is a wonderful, inspiring short clip by Prime Minister Narendra Modi sometime back when he had gone to Japan. I guess it happened 2, 3 years ago. Whatever. He went to Japan and he was thinking what gift he could give to the Prime Minister there or to the king there. And he carried a Bhagavad Geetā. And in the short clip, many of you may have seen it, it did the rounds on WhatsApp. It was doing some long back. Recently, it has again come doing the rounds. He gives and the king is happy. But many critics or opponents perhaps criticized Modi. But Modi says, I don't care what people say. And to put it in my own words, he has worded it so well, but he says, I could not think of any better gift that I can give to the king of Japan. There cannot be a better gift from India to anybody. And he adds one more sentence. There is no better gift that anyone can receive. This is the best to give, this is the best to receive. Just in 3 or 4 sentences, Modi ji gives such a compliment to Bhagavad Gita, and we can feel his sincerity. He is fearless and he is devoted. He goes to all the temples, Kashi Vishwanath and other, and is least bothered about what his political opponents would make of those visits. He sits in front of Kashi Vishwanath Shivalinga, does Abhisheka. He goes to so many Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesh, Hanuman temples. Let me not talk more about Modi, but I can say that we don't get the feeling that it is for votes or it is for political advantage. Political advantage at the most could be a secondary benefit. But when he does, we do feel he actually is a devoted follower of Sanatana Dharma. Mahatma Gandhi hardly went to any temples. He did bhajans in the evenings. He wrote a commentary on the Gita, but I regard him and respect him for many reasons. But he did not practice Hinduism in the way vast majority of Hindus practice. He rather created a certain version which is to an extent influenced by Christianity, by the West. Otherwise, of course, some sacrifices he had made and many experiments he conducted with truth. He, in fact, put to risk his own health, his own life on so many occasions. Therefore, we do respect him. But going to temples, worshipping Lord Narayana or Devi, Lakshmi Devi, go to Dakshineshwar, take part in the Arati of Mother Kali, whom Sri Ramakrishna had worshipped, right? Such acts would make you a true Hindu because that is Hinduism in practice. If you only stick to philosophy, if you neither go to temples nor do worship at home, however much philosophy you may know, you are not so much a practicing Hindu. Anyway, coming back to Sri Krishna's compassion, it talks about even the very preliminary details. Arjuna, sit at a clean place. Don't make your seat too high because in between, though you don't want to feel sleepy, you may feel sleepy and fall off. Out of some fancy, you make a little 6 feet high, seat and you fall, it can be very bad. You may break your bones. And what is problem with going down ati nicham? The reference here is Some people are fond of making a pit and they go inside, down the pit and meditate. It's another fancy. Now, wherever that kind of pit is made, there is a chance, there is a risk of some worms, some creatures get in there and they may bite you. Therefore, the place should be simple, flat, clean, and there should not be any interference by all these insects and so on. Last part of it says, Chaila Ajina Kusha Uttaram. One must sit upon three things are mentioned. Chaila is a piece of cloth, Ajina is deer skin, and Kusha is certain special grass. In Shankara Bhāshya and elsewhere also, commentators hasten to add, the order is not the same order how Sri Krishna has mentioned by force of context. Please don't put cloth first, then deer skin, and on top grass. Or you sit on grass, you may get some itching. First put grass, then put deer skin, and on top chaila, that is some soft cloth. So you sit on the cloth, you will be comfortable, not in the sense of some enjoyment. You will be comfortable in the sense you can forget about the seat. You can concentrate on a noble thought and being with that thought. Let's take a quick look at Shankara Bhāshya, which we have been doing from the beginning. Shuchau means Shuddhe. Adi Shankara gives a synonym. Shuchau, Shuddhe, Vivikte, Swabhavataha. Rather than artificial, if it is naturally clean, so much the better. Therefore, in olden days, yatis, munis, etc., would go to some river bank. They would sit by the side of a lake. They would sit below a tree after cleaning that place up. Shankara, however, gives an option. So, bhavataha, one option. Samskarato va, or you make it clean. Samskara means you sweep and wipe and wash and, you know. Swabhavataha, by itself, or samskarataha. Deshe sthane pratishtapya stiram achalam atmanaha asanam. So these are very clear words. Stiram means achalam. We already said it should not be shaking for any reason, right? And then na ati uchritam, na ativa, na ati nicham. Adi Shankara doesn't explain it. He just gives the same words. Tacha, there again, Chailajina Kushottaram, Chailam Ajinam Kushascha, Uttare Yasmin Asane, Tadasanam, Chailajina Kushottaram, and then makes the comment, Patakramat Viparitaha Atra Kramaha Chailadinam. Pata means how the words have come in the shloka. In the shloka, cloth came first, deer skin came second, and the kusha grass came last. That is patakrama. But when you prepare your seat, it should be viparita. Patakrama viparitaha atra kramaha chailadina, says Shankara Bhāshya. This was simple enough. Let's see one more shloka for this class and then pause. Sri Shankaracharya connects the next shloka. Pratishtapya kim, that is creating or arranging such a asana, do what next? Now comes the mental exercise. We read the 12th. Tatraikagram manak kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjyat yogamatma vishuddhaye. All these words are very inspiring. So one error many of us do is, if we have studied 6th chapter or if we have heard lectures on 6th chapter, Even if we have enjoyed it a lot, we tend to think, that sixth chapter I have studied. Or teachers like me think, I have taught that sixth chapter so many times at different places. Whether you have listened to the lectures or you have given lectures, question is, have you been in touch with Gita in between? Have you been on and off on a regular basis revisiting Gita? Many people don't do. Because the human mind has a weakness. It also always wants to pick up something new. Gita I have heard enough. Ah, somebody is giving lecture on Ashtavakra Gita. Let me go listen to. Somebody wants, people want something new. There is a banner. So and so is going to talk about Valmiki Ramayana. Wonderful. Valmiki Ramayana is great. But if you say, I don't want to listen to that, when did you look at Gita recently? Oh, nowadays, I've heard enough of Gita. I don't study Gita. That's a big mistake. Even if you have heard or taught Gita 100 times, you must be regularly in touch with Bhagavad. Ramana Maharshi, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, all have said Gita alone is enough. Bhagavad Gita is enough to lead you on and on the spiritual path. So this shloka, how is it inspiring? It touches upon the most important factor. When you sit for meditation, don't make it just a mechanical exercise, waiting for the soft alarm to go. Nowadays, on your watch, on your iPhone, on your smartphone or simple mobile, there are soft alarms. You can reduce the volume. Okay, I'm going to meditate for half an hour. And from the moment you have sat, suppose your only concern is when that ring will be heard. You somehow want to finish that half an hour. Your mind wanders and you are not taking care. Yatha Shakti, to the extent possible, and gently withdraw the mind. Manaha ekagram kratva. You may say it is next to impossible. My mind cannot concentrate. Don't say that. You can do better than yesterday. You can probably bring a degree of involvement and if necessary take some support. You are meditating, let us say, on a beautiful picture, Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam, going by that, Sri Mahavishnu reclining on the Adishesha with Lakshmi Devi by his side at his feet. You have a picture. You know how you may concentrate better? Open your eyes, see the picture, see the face of Mahavishnu, see the feet of Mahavishnu, see Adishesha. And what is more, bring to our mind certain associated thoughts. You visualize what it would be if even for 1 minute I could go near there on Kshetrasagara. How blessed are those rishis, how blessed are those Indra and other devatas who had the opportunity once in a while to go and meet Mahavishnu. In some way or the other, bring associated thoughts. Visualize yourself being in the proximity of the Lord. Then your success in driving away thoughts of the world will be much higher. Ekagram manakritva yatachat chittendriya kriyaha upavishya asane yunjyat. Having sat upon the asana, which was described in the earlier shloka, yunjyat, you must do yoga. Yoga here is meditation. Practice meditation. Now somebody may ask a very fundamental question. All right, before you proceed, tell us why we should do meditation. Sri Krishna does not give some very high-flown answer for liberation, for moksha, which also is valid. In this verse, he tells us Atma Vishuddhaya for inner purification. Inner purification is something that all of us need. Somebody may say, oh, no, I have a pure mind. We would ask that person a question. Do you have a problem in relationships? Do you dislike somebody? Or are you jealous of somebody? Are you sometimes angry that someone got promotion which you should have got? Are you sometimes feeling very bad and you feel it's injustice that somebody else is being praised in a get together and nobody mentioned your name? If you say, or if that man says, yeah, those things happen to me. I feel there is a lot of injustice in this society and I am a victim of that, etc. In spiritual literature, we call that impurity. Do you feel low on some days? That is impurity. Do you feel lonely on some days? That is impurity. Do you feel like leaving the town, running away somewhere? Do you feel suicidal sometimes? If people answer, and most people answer in yes, because life is like that. Many people just want to leave everything and go. They don't know where to go. I once heard a certain wife in one house said angrily to her husband, enough is enough. I'm going to some ashram. And that husband looked at her and said, oh dear, I fully understand your desire. Tell me which ashram you want to go to. I will drop you today itself. Can you imagine what would have happened next? Maybe the wife brought the roof down. You want to take me and drop me at some ashram? I knew this thought in your mind. And the husband now cannot say, I did not talk about going to ashram. You yelled and you screamed, I'm going away to the ashram. And after that, I made an offer. I will leave you there and so on. Anyway, for humor's sake, it's okay. Any sensible husband, even if his wife says at the loudest voice, I'm going away to Himalayas, I'm going away to some ashram, I'm going, he should not make the mistake of offering to take her there. He should say, oh dear, how can I live without you? Please never say this. Even if in his heart he doesn't feel so, for happy relationship, he should say that. If he says that, she will be so happy. Really, you can't live without me? Happy to hear that, and so on. We don't have any gender bias. In some other case, it may be the husband who says, I'm walking away. Then the wife should not make the mistake. Please back up now itself, and so on. In relationships, you need to keep each other in good humor in any relationship. Anyway, let me not make it too worldly in my description. Atma Vishuddhaye for inner purification has a more serious meaning. Over the years, I myself have come to the conclusion that purification of the mind can be expressed with just one criterion. What is that criterion? How much you have love of God. Here and there you get 2 minutes of some free time. Here and there you are delayed somewhere. Is your first choice to think of God for that extra time? As you and I walk the spiritual journey, we ourselves realize how we were so foolish. When we got some 5 minutes free time, 10 minutes free time, in older days we would pick up a newspaper, we would pick up a magazine. Nowadays, 5 minutes free time somehow, unexpectedly gets created. We pick up our mobile, and see whether there are new messages. So foolish. If in that place, in a natural way, you and I think of God, remember God, visualize. Suppose you are from some place, let's say, for example, you are from uh, Mathura. You are native of Mathura, let us say. Now you may be living in Bombay or you may be living in Chicago, but you are actually a native of Mathura. You know, an exercise I can suggest to you whenever you get some free time for 5 minutes. Though you are in Chicago, though you are in Bombay, just use those 5 minutes to visualize yourself back in Mathura, where you were born, you went to school, high school, even college. And Mathura is known for birthplace of Shiva. Visualize, you might have gone just a few times. Normally, people who are of that same town don't go much. The whole world comes there, but these people take it for granted. You might have gone just a few times. Never mind. Think of that spot where Bhagavan Krishna was born. Though physically you are in Chicago, visualize you are at Mathura and just face to face with that spot, Sri Krishna Janmasthala, imagine, and then say, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. Suppose this happens more and more to you, naturally, spontaneously as the first choice, then I will give it in writing. You have come upon Atma Vishuddhi. That is inner purification. No other explanation is needed. No other description is needed. How often we think of God, thank God, we are grateful to God, and we pray God for increasing our love to Him. Like in Mukunda Mala, you have Kulashekara. All through the verses, he says, I won't ask for even heaven. I am not asking for this pleasure or that position. Please give me increased bhakti to you, O Sri Krishna. Mukunda Murna Pranipatyaya che Bhavantamekantamiyantamartham Avismritistvaccharanarvinde Bhave 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 Mestu Bhavat Prasadat. One of the simple and beautiful shlokas. Hey Mukunda, Pranipatya, I prostrate before you, and Yache, I beg of you. What? Bhave Bhave, in every life, I don't mind being reborn. I don't care for that so-called moksha where Punarjanma is not there. I am happy to be born again and again. But Avismriti Bhave. Vismriti means forgetting. Avismriti means, may I never forget you. He doesn't say, let me have the latest car and the biggest house and a gold necklace with diamond, you know. None of it. In no verse of entire Mukunda Mala, there is a request for other things. So, that is highest Atma Vishuddhi. You and I may not get it in this life. But as I said it before, here and there during the day, though we have many worries in our head, lot of problems need to be attended to, people are dependent on us, etc., etc. In spite of it, here and there, in a rather natural way, without planning for it. Natural means that. No plan at all. Like those who are attached to cinema songs, they don't plan to sing here and there. You know those bathroom singers. You think when they go for bath, they plan what song they will sing. Even as they are under the shower, they will start singing some old cinema song. Many people have that habit. And you know, there are people whose bath is over, but because the song is not over, they stay more in the bathroom. In olden days, in joint families, 10 or 12 of us used to share one bathroom. That used to be a problem. One of the brothers or one of the cousins is in the bathroom and not coming out. We are waiting with a towel on our shoulder, our turn. And the fellow has not completed his song. You knock the door. Jagdisha, why are you not out? Come out. No, I'm coming. Just one more stanza. Anyway, let me not go from sublime to ridiculous. I'm explaining the word Atma Vishuddhaye. You know what? To have love of God is the greatest blessing in life. Everything else we can manage. If we have natural love of God, then it is a great blessing. We will suffer. Sometimes we may not get right food. Sometimes we may not have right clothes to wear. Sometimes somebody whom we expected would respect us just turns his face away. It will give us a jerk. But if we have the treasure of Shiva Bhakti, Krishna Bhakti, Devi Bhakti, God form, any God form, you have love of God, then maybe with 2 tears dropping down your cheeks, you will gather yourself. All right, Lord, it is your will. I thought this man would show some respect, but he behaves as though he didn't see me. No problem. You are with me. That is enough. In this way, if it comes naturally, that is Atma Vishuddhi. Shankara explains basically the simple words. Sarva Vishayebhyaha Upasamhati. Ekagra he explains as withdrawing the mind from sense objects and yata chittendriya kriyaha chittam cha indriyani cha yata. Yata means sanyata, well controlled. Kimartam yogam yunjyat. Bhashya raises the question. Aha. Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Aha. Aha means vadati. He says Atma Vishuddhaye. Shankara Bhāshya explains that word Atma Vishuddhaye. Antakaranasya Vishuddhartam. Our Antakarana, mind, intellect, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, all these need to be Vishuddha. For that purpose, we must meditate. So this portion, which we shall take up again in the next class in even more detail, Bhagavan himself is providing us the details, actually shows us why we must meditate, how we must meditate, what benefits we get if we meditate regularly, and so on. It's an excellent treatise of 23 verses on meditation. With this, we conclude this pravachana. We will take up again next Tuesday evening in the West and next Wednesday morning in India. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hari Om.